1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Can I turn it on?
Hey.
Okay.
We good?
Yeah, I think
Hey,
so.
that was a good song, man. We
Yeah.
can the billboard.
Yeah, we can.
All right, please give him a big round of applause as well, guys.
Okay. I'm Igor from POA. I'm going to talk about two topics because this conference is about Görli, right? And also it's about a recap of ETH Berlin, right? And we built something on ETH Berlin and still continuing to work on it. So what is POA? POA is a sidechain to Ethereum, started 2 years ago to solve some scalability problems we had before. We don't have them now at this scale, but still sidechain is interoperable with mainnet. We have bridges between POA and Ethereum. And native token of POA can be traded using this bridge, and this is one of the biggest advantages of the project, that bridges can work in production for years and holds millions of dollars worth of tokens without security issues yet, right? So for a year, people bridged millions of tokens between networks, and it works. So xDai chain is a project we launched on, we designed it on ETH Berlin. It's a sidechain with a concept of hard spoon, where the sidechain started as an empty network without liquidity and supply. And all liquidity of this network is bridged DAI. So this network solves a problem of volatility of platform execution and running of smart contracts. In Ethereum, we have two-dimensional volatility. Gas price is volatile, and also token price is volatile, right? In POA core, we reduced one problem. We made gas price basically stable. But with xDai also, in token price is stable. So it's very interesting that you may have the platform with stable token, stable gas execution, everything stable, while DAI is stable, right? So Token Bridge is our product to make two-way bridges, and it works in multiple modes, ERC20 to ERC20, ERC20 native, native to ERC20, multiple ERC20 to multiple ERC20, and can be used to build interesting composition of chains. And it's security audited, and also it's legally audited. So we designed this bridge the way that it doesn't constitute money transmission by default. It's sometimes it's important in the US and some other jurisdictions. But yeah, that's the idea of Token Bridge, to make it only for self transfers, and like Alice cannot send funds to Bob, and Bob cannot send funds to Alice. And it means that this bridge is non-custodian and can be used for, let's say, decentralized cross-chain transfers. And the product we are going to talk today is Blockscout, which is our open source blockchain explorer. So what is Blockscout? Full-featured EVM blockchain explorer. Like Etherscan, that's already big news, right? That after 4 years of Ethereum, finally we have a full-featured EVM blockchain explorer. So it's friendly for testnets. We host 5 testnets, and 4 projects launched their testnets on their instances of Blockscout. Also, we are friendly to private networks. Some projects hosted for Quorum and private versions of their chains. We know that some very well-known projects are using it for private chains. For example, Clearmatics from London using it for their stable chain with 16 banks, which is interesting. And of course, we're friendly to sidechains. So if sidechains is interesting, or other chain is interested in running their instance of Blockscout, they can take the code, run it, and get it, right? And before, like a year ago, it was not possible. If you're a sidechain, you want to fork Ethereum, you have to be a second-class citizen. You have to use either Chain Lite or write your own client. for Blockchain Explorer. And also, you don't have access to existing data. So data, which is, when we think about explorers, there is data which you can get from chain. Sometimes you have to have archive node and get all balances and to keep this enormous amount of data. And people think that full node is 2 terabytes. Afri can prove that it is not. If you want to run Explorer for mainnet, you have to keep 2 terabytes of full archive node, and also probably the same amount in your database where you store the data, right? So it's an enormous amount of data, and this data can be hosted by users by themselves, or can be hosted in our ecosystem. So if projects is interested in running their chain, but they don't have resources for it, we can host it on our ecosystem. And for us, it's interesting because we can get some metadata. And what is metadata? Well, for example, when users verify their smart contracts, they submit code with Etherscan. For a long time, it was like the owners of your code, when you submit it to Etherscan, is Etherscan, right? Malaysian for-profit company, but now it's better. When you submit code to Blockscout, we don't have any copyrights on code you submitted to these public instances. So it's open source and free. Anyone can take it, can use it for free. And it's community driven, so anyone can contribute, and we are very open to pull requests. Unfortunately, it's written in Elixir, so not many contributors. But it's good for us because it's a great stack. Why we built it? Etherscan was not available for testnets. It was available for some testnets. And the same was with some other tools, and still with, let's say, if you have your own chain or testnet, sometimes it's hard to add it to MetaMask, Infura, and some other services. Bless you. Sidechains and forks, it's a different story, because it's, for example, if services supporting ecosystem or sponsored by the ecosystem, sometimes it's quite hard to get listed for side projects who can basically be a threat to this ecosystem, right? Source code of Etherscan, Etherchain, which is the second explorer, was not public. It means that if we want to contribute, we cannot contribute, right? We cannot have any control over roadmap, right? With other clients, let's say when it's open source, you can take it. If you don't like something, you can change it. If your PR is not accepted, you can fork out and you can work in your repository. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's not, but at least you have this opportunity. With Etherscan and Etherchain, it's not possible. Also, it means that sometimes for good purpose, Etherscan used to filter or censor some transactions. For example, when was last consensus split between Parity and Geth, transaction Rinky was filtered out on Robston, right? Transaction on one of testnets was a transaction which forked the network, and this transaction was censored on Etherscan for the good purpose, right? So if someone will get this transaction and analyze it through Explorer, maybe he will get his transaction to split mainnet faster than parsing the chain, right? So for good purpose, we had censorship on Etherscan. With Blockscout, we can host the full data and basically get the same view on data as on hosted version. And off-chain data is not available to the public. Now it's better. Some off-chain data is available. For example, Etherscan provides API for smart contracts, but still some data is not available. We support all Ethereum testnets, and you see a lot of empty space. So we can support more Ethereum testnets if someone will launch it. We can host it on blockscout.com, or can help you set it up. So it's full featured. It means that we index internal transactions, receipts, logs, block reworks and proof-of-work networks. We support 2 types of tokens, and any ERC20 compatible token can be indexed. And so there is a smart contract verification, so anyone can verify a smart contract and store the code. So it will bring some additional data to interface. And also we support reading of contracts, where you can query data from verified smart contracts. And also supports real-time UI. And Ethers can also started to support real-time UI, so it's good that you can get, when you have data from blockchain available for Explorer, it's also presented on UI layer. Development stack, it's built on Elixir, which is a syntax sugar language on top of Erlang, which is a language built for distributed systems back in 30 years ago, and still in production, very robust and fault tolerant. So let's say if a process within a virtual machine of Erlang is crashing, there is a supervisor process which restarts it, and that's built automatically within the stack. And you can think about instance of Blockscout as multiple processes running within one virtual machine, and there are multiple supervisors orchestrating these processes. And also, for example, if you have 2 instances of Blockscout, you may have interoperability between them built within this virtual machine. So you don't need to build networking stack to interact between 2 Erlang virtual machines. It's like one application can be spread out across multiple nodes. And on faults, let's say network partitioning, this virtual machine can rebalance this part of the applications. And as a database, we use Postgres. For many projects, people can use Postgres instead of blockchain, but we use it to index blockchain within the Postgres. It was a joke, but not funny. So, okay. Yeah, I have some, because it's live product, I will show some live updates. So on Blockscout.com, we have multiple instances. They can be selected here on the right. We have Görli testnet, but we will restart indexing in an hour or so when after we will press start button. But now we can look at old state of Görli. So that basically you can see that it's quite fast, and we run it as multiple instances of Blockscout instances, and we have a proxy which rewrites all requests, and each of these instances is a separate instance of this Explorer, but they work on the same domain, and the URL is rewritten every time. Yeah, so we can see here it's a ERC20 token. You can see that there's a contract. It's not verified. I think, not verified, so we cannot get data about this contract. This is a very interesting application on top of POA. It's community money in Kenya, used every day by Kenyan people to buy and sell fruits, water, AK-47. Okay, at least one joke. Yeah, this one is verified. This is a smart contract of what we call a bridge. So bridge is a token holder number 3 on POA network. And this smart contract is verified. It holds 5.5% of all liquidity, and you can see the code here. It's basically a proxy contract. So you can, when we read it, most properties are just automatically read from using API, right? There's some buttons. If you don't like to convert away, you can press a button, and it will convert for you. And we plan to add write to contracts, like Ethers can, and it will be possible to interact with smart contracts later on. But now you can verify code, you can interact with this code, and some syntax highlighting, API, all these things that we expect from verification of smart contracts. Blockscout supports 2 types of API. It supports what is it? REST API and GraphQL API. with both types of API can be requested from the web page, so you can play with it. And also we provide API for token metadata, which can be interesting for building applications. And we don't have, at the moment, we don't have rate limits, so it can be used for using for dApps development, for wallets, and so forth, right? So that's about. Let's go back to the Blockscout. Our main goal for the roadmap is to index mainnet. We're still indexing mainnet and have like 7 days left to index mainnet. So it's our big milestone. We are working on communication between Blockscout instances, so they can share verified smart contracts data between them and other metadata. Write smart contract functionality is also the next thing. And optimization of user experience, like making it faster, optimize queries, and support for ERC-721 attributes. For example, custom ERC-721 tokens may have custom parameters. You have, for example, DNA in keys, right? And you might not have this in another game. Well, and support of Ethereum 2.0, which should be everywhere. That's for our future roadmap. And yeah, we will restart Blockscout for Görli today. So it's everything prepared. Just need to press a button on our site and recreate the database. So that's about Blockscout. Any questions? And I have like one more slide about xDai. If you do have any questions about Blockscout, yeah. Oh, hi, Griff.
Is there? You guys seem really feature complete. Like, do you have a roadmap going forward of things that you really want to add on, and how do you support yourselves?
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Griff, first of all, for organizing decentralized data group and calls, and it helps for all. You know, when the product as Blockchain Explorer is not very fancy to work on, right? It's not a consensus protocol. It's not a crypto game. It's just you know a website with ETL, right? Data transformation, and it's not very fancy, right, to work on. And there is a group of enthusiasts, and Griff helped us connect. And this group is basically discussing this problem of decentralized data. And yeah, answering to your questions, we have roadmaps in Blockscout. We have projects, and in each project you can see the progress. And each new issue is we put in one of the streams. And 3 main streams is architecture and working database. It's how to make this ETL process, first of all, efficient, and second, how to make it as compatible as possible for the whole ecosystem, right? We're not focusing only on, let's say, POA or mainnet. We would like to make this product working with the whole ecosystem, and I think our strength, especially now with so many platforms, is to keeping ecosystem together, right? Contributor sections, it's almost complete. It's a verification of smart contracts, and also we plan to add support of different languages. For example, as far as I know, other explorers don't support a Viper language, right? And there's a language, supported by someone, but there are no explorers where you can verify code of this. Of deployed contract written in this language. And developer section, the developer section is where there's features for verification of smart contracts and interacting with them. And contributors, we call contributors people who are contributing to ecosystem, basically buying tokens, sending tokens, and they're interested in looking into their balances and so forth. Speaking of how to support ourselves, it's a big problem for all crypto projects, especially during crypto winter, like how to support themselves, right? And we thought about it right now, like anyone else. Right now we have a grant from Ethereum Community Fund, which supported us in 2018. We don't plan to add any ads or sell the product, and we think that for Blockscout we will support it from other other projects we're working on. And other projects are basically new networks which we can launch. And also we're introducing fees on bridges. So all our bridges will take fee when we transfer tokens, like everyone else is doing, in every exchange is doing. So that's the way how we plan to support it. But we will not put ads. We will not sell, advertising spaces like Etherscan or CMC or other services. It should be a community project. And finally, I'd like to say about xDai, which is a project built on ETH Denver. We didn't participate as a hackathon participants because we were sponsors. But we designed the idea during sponsors launch with people from MakerDAO, Tether, and Haven, 3 stable tokens, which helped us to figure out this idea. This concept is very new. It's a sidechain where there is no emission and no supply. So it started as empty network, and all liquidity of this network is breached from mainnet. And this concept is new because before no one created, as far as I know, no one created networks where liquidity can be managed by external events. If we lock something in Ethereum mainnet, for example, DAI token for xDai, new coins are created, minted out of nothing on this sidechain. And market cap of this network is $4,000, right? So it's a sidechain with 4 validators, MakerDAO, Giveth, and Protofy and POA, 4 validators of this network. They operate bridge and they operate consensus, and they have equal rights to add or remove validators from the network. That's what we call proof of autonomy. It's a DAO, which operates a validator set of this network. And you can see on this by these numbers that for such a small market cap of $4,000, there are enormous amount of users and wallets, right? Like 278 users is like regular $10 million project, right? Like a year ago, like very small amount of users, real users, right? Which move tokens, in ERC20 contracts. And that's, I think, how we should think about systems nowadays, right? We looked from top to bottom, like, okay, all these $1 billion projects, and they're trying to find people at the bottom and sell something very expensive to them. But here we have different story, right? We have something that is very easy to explain. Dollar is dollar everywhere, which is very easy to transfer, and it's all data is like real data, and all data is like user-generated content. We didn't send anything explicitly for purpose of creating this numbers, right? I have my my wallet. I send something back and forth, but most users are users of Burner wallet, which is created by Austin Griffith, and you can see that people send transactions back and forth and experiment with this sidechain. And this is my time is up. We're all gonna die, I want to say. Well, die. Just kidding. But die is not die. But okay. Time is up. Yeah. I tried to make a joke, but sorry. Like we're all gonna use DAI. I mean, So that's a great thing, and thank you, Afri, for inviting. If you need open source blockchain explorer, please use Blockscout. And when you use Görli network and what's the name of the Ethereum Classic network? Kitty network. We will also host Explorer for it. Thank you.
Thank you.